I was an accident, and after years of negligence, I told my family I wished they had aborted me or given me up for adoption. Original post. I was basically an accident. When I was born, my siblings were 16-year-old male, 18-year-old male, 18-year-old female, 20-year-old female, 23-year-old female, and my parents were both 46. I was never abused in my childhood, but I was neglected and my entire family resented me. My parents didn't really think that they would get pregnant again, but here we are. I was never really looked after for by anyone and basically had to raise myself. No one ever really spent any time with me or played with me or anything when I was a kid. They didn't ever buy anything significant for me, just handed my siblings clothes and things. I realized this as I got older, so I focused on myself. My thought process at the time was that there was something wrong with me because my siblings were loved by them. So if I improved myself and did things for them, maybe then they would accept me and love me. I always got the best grades in school. My father was a football enthusiast and played in high school, but I was a basketball lover. But I still dropped it and took up football just to make him proud. I make sure I did all my chores readily, always kept my room clean. But nothing I did was ever enough for them. Like for example, if I was first in class, my parents would ask me why didn't I get a higher score. They ignored the percentile but focused on the percentage and things like that. My siblings or parents never even bothered to show up for a single game. I was never appreciated for what I was, only detested me for what I wasn't. My siblings also did not allow me to hang out with them at any time at all. We celebrated my father's birthday yesterday. I am 16 today. My siblings do not live with us anymore and my mother had to leave early and would not return till later in the evening. So it was just me and him for the day. So I decided to serve him breakfast in his bed just as he woke up. I cooked and bought him a tie for a present. I know it's not the best present, but I was on a budget. Nothing too extravagant cause I want to save as much money as possible for college, but it was definitely a smart one. I also cooked lunch for us and took care of all the chores. The most he could come up with was a pathetic thank you, and it was clear he wanted me to leave him alone, so I did just that. We all went out, siblings included, to a dinner, and the way these would go is that they would all have a good time and I would just sit in the corner. This is the case with almost all family dinners we have ever attended. We went back home and I don't know why. I really don't know what triggered it. But for some reason I just started crying all of a sudden. Maybe it was them being so happy together. I don't know. And when they asked me what happened, I just blew up at them and told them how I felt about my entire childhood. How they never showed me any kind of love and affection among other things. I don't know exactly what I said, but I do remember I ended it by saying that I wished that they had aborted me if they hate me so much or could have given me up for adoption, so they could all live their lives without me. My eldest sister started to say something, but I just ran up to my room and closed the door and went to sleep listening to some Hans Zimmer cause they just kept knocking at the door. Early this morning I went out my window and went to a secluded spot that I often go to, usually to play some guitar or just pace around listening to music, or just enjoy the sound of nature. I'm sitting down here right now, writing this on my phone at 4:30 a.m. and don't know what to do at all. I'm sorry if I just went out on a rant, but this is the first time that I am able to tell my childhood to anyone. Now, how exactly do I tackle this problem? I have pretty much given up on my family and have spent enough of my time trying to please them. Do I still try to form any kind of bond with them? Do I completely drop them off? What exactly is the best thing to do here? Now for the top of comments before reading the update. Screw, that's hard some shit to deal with. It sounds like it was genuine of the family about wanting to change. Although as I'm sure we all know, actions and change don't always follow words. I'll keep my fingers crossed for original gangster OP that their family stick to their word and gave that kid some love. He commented that he'll hope for the best, prepare for the worst. Easier said than done, but I do absolutely get the sense that this kid will succeed in life. I'm honestly not sure if his family is capable of being genuine. To be so cold, neglectful, and uncaring for 16 years, I feel like you have to be wired a certain way. I also call bullshit on them, saying they ignored him because he was able to function on his own. You know when a child is vying for your attention and approval. You can see their heart being broken every time they're ignored and rejected, even if they weren't excited about a new baby. For them to have no compassion or empathy, and no bond formed in that time. I'm just not sure if that's something that can be changed. I sincerely hope this isn't the case. but I wouldn't be surprised if their response was at least somewhat performative, given that his nephew found the post, which means relatives are now aware of the neglect and abuse. That seems more plausible than his entire family suddenly growing a heart. OP of the OP deserves so much better. His family should be ashamed of themselves. It feels wrong, but I hope they are never able to forgive themselves for doing that to him. They knew what they were doing by treating him so poorly. I'd be willing to bet they barely considered him a person, much less a child or family member. He said he isn't ready for therapy, but I think it would benefit him, and I hope he gives it a try someday. Every one of his family members should be starting intensive individual counseling immediately so they can determine what the ever-living screw is wrong with them and learn to do better. I'll keep my fingers crossed too. You raised some good points about seeing the heartache on the kid's face and stuff. I'm not a parent, so I didn't think of that. I guess I thought if they were full-blown narcissistic, then they would've got mad at original gangster OP and yelled at him for disrespecting them and all that sort of bullshit. But it's impossible to tell from a single Reddit post. I think it's just all about hope for the kid now. They're strong and I reckon they're gonna do well in life, with or without their fam. Now for the update. First of all, I want to thank everyone for the amount of support that you guys have given. It was really overwhelming, and I can't express in words how much that meant to me. I was reading all the comments and everything, till about 11 to 12, then decided to go home to face the family. I arrived home to quite a melancholic environment. As soon as I arrived, the first thing they all did was hug me, which honestly surprised me. This was probably the first time in years they were showing me any kind of affection. They had prepared some food for me, and after I ate, we all had a talk. My oldest nephew, 2 years younger than me, who often reads posts from this sub, saw it and showed it to my sister. They all first of all apologized for the way they treated me. They confirmed that I was an accident and none of them wanted to deal with another baby, and I basically screwed up their life plans. They didn't word it this way. They didn't really want to do anything with me, so they just started ignoring me because I never seemed to need anything from them. Their reasoning was that I was always doing great in life. I always did my chores on time, kept my things neat and clean as a kid, always got good grades, never complained about anything, did great in sports. They just assumed that I never required or wanted anything from them. So they were able to just keep ignoring me and pretend as if I wasn't there basically. They said that this didn't justify their behavior, especially after they read the post. They just wanted to explain their own actions. I just made it easy for them to ignore me. They all asked me to forgive them for alienating me, and they said that they would do their best from now on to make me feel as I was a part of the family. They then wanted to go out and celebrate my birthday, but I was just mentally and physically exhausted, so I just went to sleep, woke up in the evening, and just ended up playing games for the rest of the night and went back to sleep. I don't really know how to feel about this. I thought about it long and hard, and decided I'll try to form some kind of bond with them. If that's even possible, the one thing I'll do is trying to start to work and live for just myself right now. My priority is getting to college right now, and I'll mainly work towards that. If reconciliation doesn't work out, at least I have a goal and purpose in life to work towards until I get away from here. Thank you so much for helping me and supporting me through all this. If you guys have any further questions, please feel free to ask me, and once again, thank you. Now, some top of comments. I wasn't there for your first post, so I just want to say I'm really sorry how things have gone the first 16 years of your life. No child should ever be put in your situation. With them at least admitting their faults, I would heavily suggest you push them to get you some individual, and, if you're comfortable, family therapy. Quick rant on one of their comments, partial because I'm angry for you from the first post, and partially due to its audacity. I just want to comment, however, that I really dislike that they gave any sort of reasoning for their behavior past. We were selfish and acted selfishly, especially when it puts a little of the blame on you. You were just easy to ignore. That is not true, no matter how they try and justify it. It doesn't matter how much maintenance you require. A child who is fairly independent and self-sufficient will still get all the love and positive attention they need in a healthy family. The virtue of being your parent should have gotten you the love and attention required. You repeatedly tried to get their attention in a positive way that shouldn't have been needed. Put effort into learning your father's interests, made their birthday special, and many more acts, I'm sure, with no reciprocal acts. It's their own selfishness, and only their selfishness, that denies or denied you. Please do not take their reasoning comments to heart. What probably ended up happening was your family had a hard look at themselves and thought, holy shit, how did we let it get this bad? But because they probably don't think they're that bad a person to neglect a child for 16 years, they went with, well, if they truly needed help, we would have given it them. It is rude to say they would have done differently if you had acted differently. It shifts blame from their unacceptable actions to your behavior you did or didn't do. Preach, of course, they blame it all on you. They're still being selfish, and not just rude but so callous. A teen who's remarkably in touch with his feelings finally pours his heart out to them, and all they can do is victim blame. And what if OP hadn't been the perfect child? I shudder to think how he would have been treated because their love isn't even conditional. Yikes. Story 2. Update. Wife told me someone else is her soulmate. Original post. My wife, M, met her best friend, Chuck, in high school. They became close friends and Chuck came out to M as gay. M was supportive. A year or so later, Chuck came out to his parents. They disowned him and kicked him out, and Chuck ended up living with M and her parents for the rest of high school. M and I started dating after college, and she told me all about Chuck and how close they were and how he was like a brother. I met Chuck and we got along and became friends. Chuck is a good guy. At the time Chuck was dating a guy, they ended up moving in together about the same time that M and I got engaged. M and I have been married for 5 years now. I'm a project manager and took on a year-long project in another city. I have to leave at 5:30 a.m. every morning and get home around 6:30 p.m. M and I had a long talk about my job before I took on this project. We knew it would be a sacrifice for me to be working so much, but I'm getting more money than I ever thought I would. After this project, we can pay off our student debt and start trying to have a baby. We both agreed the money was worth it, since it's only a year. That year will be up in late November. In March, Chuck caught his boyfriend cheating. He was devastated. M immediately told him he could move in with us. I was fine with him moving in, but not happy that M didn't even discuss it with me first. Chuck was pretty broken up, and M was giving him lots of love and attention. I was fine with it, because I know how much she loves Chuck, and he didn't need her. I also did my best to support him and make him feel loved. For a while this was fine, but as time went on, M has continued to pour all of her attention into Chuck. Sometimes I get home from work, and neither of them are there, and I found out they went to a movie or out to dinner together. I don't think there is anything romantic or horrible between them, but it has been annoying that I get left out of all plans. The past few weeks, several things have happened. The three of us went to a party, and someone joked about Chuck being our third wheel, and M said, Chuck is not the third wheel. I said, what? And she said, I've known Chuck longer than I've known you. A week or so after that, M and Chuck went out dancing one night. I had to work the next day, so I stayed home. I woke up at about 3 a.m. and M was not in bed. I went and found her, and Chuck cuddled up on the couch asleep with the TV on. Both of those things made me uncomfortable. I also realized I had been working so much, I was just sort of letting M and Chuck plan everything, and I had not planned a date night in a while. I decided I needed to be more active, and so I planned a date night for last Friday. When I first told M, she was excited, as we have not been on a date, just the two of us, in a while. Friday I got home at 6:30 and M and Chuck were not there. I took a shower and got ready. About 7:15 I finally called M, as we had reservations at 8. She answered, and when I asked where she was, she said her and Chuck had gone shopping and were getting some dinner. I was kind of stunned and asked about our date. She laughed and said, oh, I forgot. Oh well. And that was that. She didn't even invite me to join them. So, a point I should make here. My dad was very controlling of my mom and had an anger problem where he would yell and throw things. He never threw things at us, but it was still scary as a kid. I have worked very hard to not be like him. I've tried to never be controlling of M or tell her what to do. I also tend to shut down when I get angry. When M forgot our date, I was mad, so I didn't say anything right then. But I knew I needed to address how I was feeling. So later that evening, I told her we needed to talk. I had written down some things so I could stay focused. I started by saying that I loved Chuck and he was always welcome in our home, but that I felt like our marriage was suffering and we needed to work on us. M blew up. She thought I was attacking Chuck. I guess I didn't word things well, and she started defending him and attacking me. We have never had a big fight before. We always talk and work things out. I was stunned that she was attacking me. She said some awful things. Then she said, Chuck is my soulmate, and you just have to get used to that. I just shut down. I didn't even know how to process that. I love Em more than anything in the world. But in that moment, I realized she loves Chuck more than she loves me. I thought Em and I were soulmates. But to hear her say she considers someone else her soulmate has been devastating. I don't remember the rest of the talk. She huffed off after a while and slept on the couch. Her and Chuck left together on Saturday and were gone most of the day. When they got back, she acting like nothing had happened. On Sunday, she even made a small joke and batted her eyes at me. Something she does when she's flirting with me. Normally I love it, but this time, it just made me sick. I told her this was a busy week at work, and I was just going to stay at a hotel near the job site, something I have done a few times before. So I haven't seen her since Sunday night. I don't know what to do. Typing all of this up has made me realize I am really burned out with all of this travel. Maybe I checked out too much and haven't given her enough attention. But how do I move forward knowing she will never love me as much as I love her? Minor update. Seeing a bunch of comments from women who say they have more than one soulmate has given me hope. To me, you only have one soulmate. But that's not a word Em or I ever really use. And I just really hope she means it different than how I took it. We have been texting back and forth some this week, and we spoke on the phone last night. It wasn't anything big. She just called and said she missed me and couldn't wait until I got home. I'll be home tonight. I told her we should talk about our fight last Friday, and she agreed and said she hates that we fought, and we need to work it out. She said she loves me. We will be talking tonight, and I guess I'll find out where I stand. Now for the full update. I made my first post on Thursday. When I took the time to think about it all and type it all out, I realized how burned out I have been with this work project. Friday morning, I met with my team and scheduled some time off coming up soon. I'm in a much better headspace just knowing I have that downtime soon. Em and I had our fight on a Friday night. Then I left on Monday and stayed out of town all week for my project. During that time, we did text back and forth every day, and we talked on the phone a few times. It was awkward because we both knew we needed to have a big talk, but over the phone was not the time or place. Em texted me this Friday and said Chuck was gone for the weekend, so we could spend time just the two of us, and that she wanted to make up for our missed date. I got home Friday evening, and we agreed to talk before doing anything else. I had written out everything I wanted to say, and she sat and listened. We talked for a long time, and we each went back to some things to get clarification. So I'm not going to try and replay everything we said, just the main parts in the way that makes the most sense. I told her how I didn't like her joke about me being the third wheel and how much it hurt that she forgot our date. And then how crushed I was that she said Chuck was her soulmate. There were some other little things too. When I was done, she said she was sorry, and she was wrong for saying those things. She said I am not the third wheel and I am her soulmate. And she asked if she could explain why she did and said what she did. When Chuck's parents first kicked him out in high school, he was in a bad place and had considered taking his life. He told Em's mom, and they got him help. So when Chuck called in March about his boyfriend cheating on him, Em had freaked out and was afraid he was going to hurt himself. She said she felt like she needed him close, so she could watch him and keep him safe. I had made a comment about how for the past 6 months, it seems like her and Chuck were living their best life together, and she said that she has been miserable this whole time, that she has been on the verge of a nervous breakdown. After our fight, she knew she was wrong and realized she needed to get help and let it go. She talked with Chuck, and he promised that he was a stronger person than he was in high school and promised that he was not even thinking about hurting himself. They agreed it was best if he moved out, both to give Em and I time to work on us, and so Em wouldn't be obsessing over when he was coming and going. Em wanted to talk to me last Sunday, but I had said I needed time, and she wanted to give me space. It was a long talk with lots of tears. She apologized a bunch of times. She said she was so concerned with Chuck's mental health that she attacked me because she thought I was going to make him move out, and she was lashing out. She acknowledged that she hurt me and said she loves me, and she wants to work on herself and find ways to deal with fear and worry in a healthy way. We have never really had a big fight before, and we both agreed we could have handled it better. Her by not lashing out, and me by not shutting down. We agreed to start couples counseling to help us learn how to disagree in a more healthy way. We were both emotionally drained after the talk, so we just ordered some food and stayed in. We cuddled in bed to watch TV, talk, and just be together. We have missed each other a lot these past few months, and it was really nice to just hold her. The next day, Saturday, we took a day date. We went to breakfast, went shopping, saw a movie, and even got pedicures together. My toes look amazing. Several times throughout the day, she would just stop and look at me and say she had missed me, and she was so sorry she had pushed me away. Today, Sunday, we called Chuck, who was staying with another friend. He said he was sorry he had caused so much stress for Aim and me. He acknowledged he had been focused on himself and not even realized that we were not doing well. He said he loved us both and is so grateful that we let him stay while he was getting over his breakup. He is looking at a few places and plans to be out in the next week or two. He did offer to move out right away, but I am okay with him staying a little longer. I think having a plan in place is the most important thing. Our relationship took a hit, but we love each other, and we are going to work on it. We set some boundaries and also agreed to always make each other our top priority. I have a few more months left on this project, but are going to make a point to go on a proper day at least once a week and reserve some cuddle time on the weekends. Thank you to everyone who replied or sent me a message based on my first post. I got some really good advice. I am hopefully this experience will make us better and make our relationship stronger. That's all for today. If you are enjoying this story, please like the video and share your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you.